20% of new businesses fail within the first year, 45% of them fail within the next 5 years, and 65% of businesses fail in their first 10 years of business. But if you have one of these 21 behaviors that your business, you actually might be the reason what's holding you back from succeeding in entrepreneurship. Today, we're gonna go into those, we're gonna rectify them, we're gonna identify them, and find solutions to make sure that these behaviors aren't holding you back. Behavior number one that kills you is procrastination. Now, entrepreneurships, they struggle more with indecision than making the wrong decisions. And a lot of the time, I know this one guy, he's been starting his own business for over 3 years now. And whenever I check in with him, hey, how's it going? He's telling me about another thing that he's planning and developing. I'm like, man, this isn't a business, this is an idea. And sometimes we get so caught up in algorithms and YouTube videos where we're just getting mental masturbation, more information, more information, more information. But what you actually need to do is make a decision a lot of the time. A lot of entrepreneurs, and myself included, we're often terrified of making the wrong decision. But what I've learned in the past decade of running my own business is that it's more important to actually just make a decision and then make it right, rather than trying to figure out what the right decision is from the get-go. Because we don't know what the right decision is a lot of the time. And as long as we can pivot and make adjustments as we go, what's important is that we start and we lead, but not getting stuck in thinking about it. We need to take action. The second behavior that fucks up entrepreneurship is lack of focus. There's a common folktale: if a man chases two bunnies, he's not gonna catch either of them. And entrepreneurship, a lot of the time, comes down to how many times do you say no? Steve Jobs was famous for start the meeting by asking, so what's an opportunity you've turned down recently? And if someone gave him like a half-hearted answer, he would make them clarify. He's like, no, what is something that was very tempting that you said no to recently? You determine how focused you are by how many times you say no. And we call it the girl in the red dress. Alex Ramones talks about this all the time in The Matrix, where the girl in the red dress gets hotter and hotter as you get further and further down the entrepreneurial journey. And she is a distraction. Distractions are opportunities wrapped up in nice packaging, but you need to make sure, what are the goals for my company and how can I stay laser focused on this until I get the job done? The sun has so much energy spread out across the world, but it's only once I take a magnifying glass and point it in a specific direction that I can start to create fires that burn down. Focus is everything, and being spread too thin is a huge killer in entrepreneurship. Point three is the fear of failure. Now, I hate to break it to you, but you're gonna fail a lot. And I can usually tell how successful an entrepreneur is going to be by how many scars they have on their back of things they tried that didn't work and what they learned from it. What's kind of cool about entrepreneurship is that you can't lose. As long as you learn along the way, you are going to be winning every single time, because you either go for something big and you hit it, or you miss the mark but you learn something along the way, which now increases the odds that you're going to get it the next time you try. As long as you don't go bankrupt. What's so cool is you can keep on going. You can learn and start to deposit more and more banks of experience so that you can actually make smarter decisions in the future, more efficient decisions in the future, and you cannot lose. But the failure itself isn't what bothers you. A lot of the people have no problem failing in private. People are usually more concerned about the outcome, how it looks on the outside of them failing, which makes them stop. But that fear is what's gonna cripple you. And in business, I've learned you need to be bold. And to be bold, you gotta be willing to make mistakes and have the mindset that, you know what, as long as I learn something, I cannot lose. The fourth behavior that's going to kill you as an entrepreneur is poor time management. Now, when you're starting out, you might be wearing a ton of hats. You've got a lot of time, but not have a lot of money, especially when you're first getting going. Your feet are gonna be in a lot of different pools and you're gonna be testing a lot of things. But over time, there's gonna be a natural sweet spot that emerges, something that you naturally really excel at, that you're very good at, and it creates the most profit for your business. Now, one thing that Dan Martell talks about in Buy Back Your Time is that once you find these sweet spots, you need to learn how to hire and delegate to fill in these positions, because if you keep doing everything, you're that jack of all trades, you are going to be a master of none. And that can kill your business, because believe it or not, there's something called the hero complex, where we think as the entrepreneur, we are the best. We are the best at every single part of our business. And I hate to break it to you, I did learn this the hard way. You're not as good as you think you are. Somebody out there is better than you at customer service. Somebody out there is better than sales. So as an entrepreneur, your job is to find a problem in the marketplace, find the solution, and then not you solve it, hire somebody. Hire somebody to come into your team and help solve that at their best capabilities. So you want to have a super good person on sales, someone that's clutch on operations, because the odds are that you are better than all those guys in the departments, very slim. But some people are natural born salespeople. Some people excel so much at customer service, and your job is to find those people to run those departments. And that happens over time as you really start to scale your business. The fifth behavior that's going to your business is micromanagement. Now, as an entrepreneur, we are very attached to the outcome. Trust me, I get it. We want things to go right because everything is on the line for us. But the issue is, while management is important and we need to be in tune with our numbers, micromanagement is a terrible way that stunts people, essentially. You're always on top of someone, always watching behind their back. They're not going to perform at their best capabilities. Now, the opposite is also true. We need to make sure that we are in touch with our people. We're in touch with the numbers, but we're giving them some flexibility and some freedom to let their creative genius out. And by hogging people and staying on top of them, the helicopter parent, we all see those children are the ones that rebel the most later in life. So make sure you have a policy in your business, but give people the flexibility to make decisions and be okay with them failing. Remember, we talked about earlier, failure is an important part of success. And your team, they need to know that it's okay to fail as long as we learn from our mistakes and know when to pivot. This sixth one's pretty important, and it's about being inflexible. Entrepreneurship, I promise you, you are making mistakes every single day and you might be going down the wrong path. It's important that you stay flexible based on the outcome. So staying super objective to the facts about where is my business going right now? I know this was the current plan, but I'm gonna be flexible about adjusting the plan as needed to take into account what the market determines. At the end of the day, we live in a free market here in North America, and we need to listen to what the marketplace is telling us, what our customers are telling us. And if we want to sell people red paint, but in fact, everybody's looking for blue paint, we need to pivot. We need to be flexible with what our offering is and flexible about solving the problems because we live in a life that's always changing. And whatever we determine is the solution now might not be the solution tomorrow. So something that has helped me and served me greatly in entrepreneurship for the past decade has been flexible with how I do things. So this seventh behavior that entrepreneurship really hits home with me because it almost put me out of business back in 2022. And this one is not knowing your financials. Now, as entrepreneurs, we can get very passionate and very into sales, customer service, and delivery, and product knowledge, all that good stuff there too. But back in university, accounting class was the one that I kind of shrugged off and laughed at. But oh my gosh, your numbers are the foundation of your business. And if you don't know what your gross profits are, if you don't know what your margins are, if you don't know what your revenues are, expenses, etc., you have no idea what the you're doing. You need to have the backbone of the numbers to back up all the work you do, because what's the point in creating a great product if it's underpriced or if it's overpriced and no one buys it? These are huge game changers. In 2022, we tried to expand our lawn care business to 2 other cities without even knowing what our financials were. And we were doing what I call feel good accounting, which means we asked ourselves, can I afford a new truck? Open up the bank account and take a look. Oh yeah, things look pretty good to me. Go buy the truck. And that is the worst way to operate your business because you have no idea. That money that's in your bank account right now, is that your money or is that a prepayment for service that you still need to render? What is that money going towards? Where is it coming from? You need to have this dialed in. So having an appropriate forecast and budget is a game changer and crucial for the lifeblood of your business. Make sure you know your financials. The 8th behavior you need to steer clear of is ignoring customer feedback. Now, your customer, a lot of the time, if they're not happy with things, they're actually not going to complain. They're going to just take their money elsewhere to your competitors. We're in Canada here. People are so polite. They don't complain. They don't make a fuss. But at the end of the year, they take their money and they fucking go somewhere else. And that sucks because you don't get any feedback, the feedback that you need to understand, hey, where did I fall short? What's going on? How can I actually improve? And you need to ask your customers, how am I doing? So they tell you, because a lot of the time they don't want to impose, they don't want to, rock the boat, but they're not happy. And you need to figure this out. And a tool that I use is called an NPS score. That stands for Net Promoter Score. It simply puts the question out there that asks people on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend my services or product to your friends and family? And people that give you a 9 or 10, they're called promoters. Those people, they're happy and they actually will promote your business. 7 and 8s though, believe it or not, like growing up in school, I thought getting 70 or 80% was pretty good, but no, 7 or 8s are not good. They're called neutrals. Neutral customers they're satisfied with the work you do or your product, but if the right opportunity came their way, they're jumping ship. They're going to competitor, no questions asked if the great offer was presented to them. So we want to make sure we can get those 7 and 8s to become 9 and 10s as soon as possible. Now 6 and belows, those are detractors. Those are people actually walk around telling people not to buy your product, not to go with your service because you've let them down. But when you send out this feedback, if you're able to get the results back and see who gave you what, this is a phenomenal opportunity to reach out to that person and say, hey, John, I noticed you gave me a 6 out of 10 on that NPS score. Thank you so much for being honest. Please tell me, where did I drop the ball? How can I make sure this never happens again? And you listen to what John has to say. Guys, that feedback will save you tens of thousands of dollars if you just trying things, because at the end of the day, if your customer doesn't like what you're offering, what is the point? You might think you're great, but if your customers think you suck, dude, you suck. And we gotta fix that. And it's by getting the feedback that we can actually figure out where that's coming from. Behavior number 9 that I know you don't even wanna hear is drinking. Now guys, alcohol, it is really, really bad. And in fact, it is one of the most addicting substances out there and something that maybe should have ever been legalized. But let's live in reality that we have booze at our fingertips. Now, I don't have any arguments from like a religious perspective or anything like that telling you not to drink, but I can tell you from my own experience that I used to drink a lot. I drank a lot when I turned 18 and I drank quite a bit, at least into my early 20s when there was no consequences. You know, you wake up, no hangover, you're good to go. That was all fun and dandy. But at the end of the day, drinking alcohol is stealing fun and energy from the future. You might have a 20-30% better night, but now you have that evening that you need to recover and the entire next day where it messes with your body, but even more so, it kills your motivation. The next day after I drink, all I want to do is sit on the couch and just waste and burn time. What a shitty way to spend your life. You know, you're wasting days. And guys, we have so little time here on planet Earth. We never know how many days have been granted to us. And drinking, man, so right now I'm 10 months into doing a sober year. My buddy and I are in a challenge, and I gotta say, I thought I'd never say this, but it's been a game changer for me. I wake up and my mind is clear every day. I might have had a bad sleep. I mean, I have 3 young kids at home, but I might have had a bad sleep, but if I didn't drink, I'm gonna be okay because my mind is still there, it is sharp, and I can always go to bed early the next day. I'm not wasting these precious moments that I have because I've stolen fun in the past from my current present self. So drinking, if you haven't already, I'm super pumped that it's actually becoming kind of popular to be sober. It is a good thing because life is too short to just be intoxicated the whole time. The next behavior I want to talk about is a lack of discipline. So guys, they did a study. They found some super high level business entrepreneurs. They studied them and they were trying to figure out what are these game-changing behaviors that these people may have or not have that really determines. There were 3 things that came out of it. 1, they had a superior complex where they actually thought they were better than other people at specific things. You know, call it cocky, call it ego, but it really helped them achieve things. Number 2 is that they never felt like they amounted enough. They always felt like they were coming short of the bar and they needed to keep improving. They were never satisfied with what they were achieving. But the third one, which hammers down this point, is that they had tremendous amounts of self-control. You know, guys, self-discipline is crucial. And if you go through your whole life always giving in to your natural cravings, giving in to your little impulses, you are a slave to your emotions. You want a chocolate bar, so you eat a chocolate bar. You just want to sleep in, so you sleep in. You just want something, so you go and get it. Guys, we are not animals. You know, I know we come with instincts and stuff, but if you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're going to be extraordinary and live a life that no one has, you need to be able to be willing to do things that no one else is willing to do. And what does that mean? It means you're working 12 hours a day. It means you're working on the weekends even though you don't want to. It means you're staying true to your diet. You're staying true to your exercise routine. It means that you are spending time with your family when you'd rather just be on your phone scrolling on reels. You're spending the time with your children that they need to make sure that you have a strong family life. Guys, self-discipline is everything. Without it, your life's a joke. You are a slave to your emotions. You're a slave to your impulses. And as an entrepreneur, it will destroy you. It will crush you. And your competition, they have self-control. And if you are their competition without self-control, they're laughing at you and they're going to blow you out of the water. So let's get back to the basics. Let's have self-discipline in our lives. And that is truly going to be a game changer. Behavior number 11 that entrepreneurship is neglecting marketing. Guys, you might have the best product in the world, the most excellent service that no one's ever even seen before, but that's the point. If they don't see it, it doesn't exist. And the way that we get our word out about our product is through marketing. Now there's 8 different ways to actually get your product to market, and a lot of those are covered in Alex Hormozi's book, $100 Million Leads. But long story short, if nobody knows your product exists, your product does not exist. So we need to make sure that we get people to know about you and your service because we want to make sure that our customers have an option. Otherwise, they're going to your competitors. So having marketing as a forefront of your business is pivotal. Learn how to rank on Google, know how to run Google ads, Facebook ads, know how to make someone think about your product and have it top of mind when the need occurs is a huge way for your business to grow because good products it makes marketing easy. And marketing is easy if you know how to sell the leads that come in, and that's how you get your product to market. So never forget that marketing is one of the main departments at your company and something that you, especially as a founder, need to master. Speaking about marketing, if there's one thing my company has always been very strong at, it's sales and marketing. So we've done a lot of that ourselves, but we've also gotten help from a company. And when it comes to Facebook ads, I actually have a solid video that I'm gonna post right here that really goes over the ins and outs of Facebook ads. Make sure you check that out, because if you know how to hook, retain, and reward people on Facebook, it is a huge way to get more leads. But if you're looking for a website that ranks super well on Google, very strong SEO, and looks super, super nice, please check out Hill & Foster in the description below. They are not sponsoring this video. They're just good friends of mine, and they're growing their business. They've been so good at the graphic design of our company and getting our website to rank on Google, because your website is a salesperson that never sleeps, never asks for days off, and they work 24/7. So make sure you have a solid website. Check out Hill & Foster in the description if you're interested in that. The 12th behavior that's holding you back from achieving your success as an entrepreneur is avoiding technology. Guys, whether we like it or not, technology is all around us. AI is becoming a new norm, and we can either sit our butts in our seat and just ignore it, or we can embrace the fact that our lives are changing and technology is truly driving the future. So I'm not saying get rid of all your sales reps and your customer service reps and choose some sort of AI answering service. I'm not saying that whatsoever, but we do need to remember that how do our customers want to interact with us? Do they want to be able to call in? Or do they want to submit a form on your website? Do they want an instant chat? At the end of the day, we need to be asking ourselves, what do our customers want? And we want to make things as easy as possible for them. Everyone has less time than they did before, and everyone is becoming more impatient than they were before, because we live in a life where people can click a button and something arrives at the door a day later, sometimes the same day. There's microwave thinking going on, and technology is truly the bridge there too. So my recommendation here is just to embrace technology. Embrace technology more than all of your competitors. Be the go-to company, but sometimes it's okay to actually hold on to some of the older metrics of things. So for example, have an awesome instant chat in your website, a way for people to engage with you, but keep a phone line open. If someone prefers to call you, make sure you have that available. Really understand the demographics of your customers and make sure that you're always giving them the means to communicate with you in what makes the most sense for them. Think of BlackBerry, guys. They used to have over 90% of the market share when it came to cell phones, but the CEO was so caught up in the way it's always been, and behind the scenes, Steve Jobs and Apple was creating the iPhone and the whole experience with they actually selling people no longer minutes, but data on their phones and cellular usage. And as a result, BlackBerry's shares dropped to less than 1%, and Apple and Android have completely dominated the market. If you're not embracing technology, your competitors are, and before you know it, they're gonna sweep in and sweep all of your clients along with them. The 13th behavior that is your success as an entrepreneur is inconsistent branding. So once I was on an airplane, it was a WestJet airplane, and I noticed something very cool. Everything was WestJet brand. The pens, the puke bags, the TV screens, the leather on the chairs, everything had the WestJet logo on it, so that I was only thinking about WestJet the entire time, and my entire experience was around WestJet. What's the difference between a pair of jeans that cost $600 and a pair of jeans that cost $50? A lot of the time it's the brand, and sometimes the quality actually is no different. But one of them has Louis Vuitton or True Religion on them, and the other one has American Eagle. Brand is important because it determines the person's perception of your service or your product. And I just want to say that what's more important than your brand is having a consistent brand. It doesn't matter if you are the low ball in the market or the highest quality one. You determine where you want to be within your marketplace and your competitors, but having your brand consistent all the way throughout the process is crucial. So, are you changing your colors every single day because you feel like it? Are you changing the way your logo looks every single month because you feel like it? Guys, it doesn't matter what your logo looks like. What matters is that your logo is absolutely everywhere for your customers to see. Now, obviously, take some time, get it professionally designed, I get that, but consistent branding is what makes people remember you when the occasion arises to need your product. So, for example, we own a lawn care company here in Calgary, Canada, and when someone sees a dandelion, I want them to think of Yard Dogs Lawn Care. And we do that by making sure that every single piece of marketing we put out there talks about dandelions and yard dogs. Dandelions and yard dogs. That way they see a weed, dandelions, oh, yard dogs. They associate your brand with the problem and therefore the solution with your brand as well. So get that brand to be consistent. Not learning from your mistakes is the next behavior that's gonna fuck up your journey, because I said before, you are going to fail a lot. Fail stands for first attempt in learning in entrepreneurship. And if you don't learn from mistakes, what are you doing? You're wasting your time, you're wasting your resources, and you're not fulfilling your potential. It is completely okay to make mistakes, guys. But let's not make the same mistake twice. Let's learn from them, and if we can actually take the knowledge that we get from our mistakes, we don't need to keep making the same ones. That's why reading books and documentaries and biographies of people that have done it before is so powerful, because you can learn a lifetime of mistakes in 3 hours sitting down and reading a book. Learn from the mistakes of others and learn from your own mistakes to absolutely just decrease the learning curve that it takes to become a successful entrepreneur. Tai Lopez says, anyone can be a millionaire by the time they're 120. The problem is we all only live to about 80, 85. So it's all about reducing the learning curve. Let's learn as much as possible, as quick as possible, so we don't need to make the same mistake twice. The 15th behavior that success, and this is an important one, is neglecting personal health. Guys, there's no question about it. The science is all there. We all know the answer to this, but we need to eat right, we need to exercise, we need to get enough sleep, and we need to maintain our emotional and mental health within our own brain. So there's an awesome book by Dr. Peter Attia called Outlive, and this talks about those 4 different things. How can we get our diet right so we feel great? How can we get the exercise right so we always have consistent energy? How can we get enough sleep but not too much sleep? Everything we need to have a clear peace of mind. And 4, how can we maintain our relationships? How can we have a good, positive mental health and emotional well-being to keep our life going? If we have money and we don't have those 4 things, you failed. Like, you have not made it in life. There's no point in succeeding in entrepreneurship and making all this money if we have our whole family falling apart, if we are overweight, if we can't even run a kilometer. Like, what was the point? The whole point is to live a great life, and money doesn't give that to you. But having exercise down pat, your diet down pat, awesome relationships with your family and your friends, and being able to feel good about ourselves and get enough rest, you combine those, money just makes life so much better. Money makes great people better and bad people worse. It is just a tool. Those 4 things though, our whole personal health is what life is all about essentially, and we need to make sure that we get those right if we're going to get entrepreneur success right. The 16th behavior that fucks with entrepreneurship is overexpansion. I'm actually going to tie this along with being overambitious. It is super important to be bold, and it is super important to be ambitious, but we don't want to let our eyes be bigger than our work ethic. You know, we don't want to be chasing things, because if we're overambitious, again, it can lead to distractions, and we can start to make decisions that actually don't fit with the original goals that we had. Hitting goals is important for your team. And if you're constantly having goals that are so high and targets that are just so high up there that we can never hit them, remember, your employees aren't entrepreneurs. You're the entrepreneur, and you need to be driving them and you need to be pushing them, yes. But if they are not hitting their goals, they're not hitting their targets, they're slowly, quarter by quarter, going to start to be drained. They need to get addicted to winning. And to win, you have to achieve the actual goal you're going for. So have an ambitious company, but don't put the goals so fucking high that no one, including yourself, would be able to hit them. Yes, we want to reach for the stars, land on the moon, but let's actually land on the damn moon, okay? So let's make sure that we actually are making this progress productive. So the 17th point here is quite important because it hits home for me. Isolation. Guys, entrepreneurship is incredibly lonely. So few of us are entrepreneurs and so few of us make it. I have a hard time finding things in common with people that aren't entrepreneurs a lot of the time, because I think about myself. I'm married, I have children, and I'm an entrepreneur. Those are 3 things I really find I need to have in common with someone. And if we live lives that are completely different, most people, remember, they are not an entrepreneur. They have a job. And we need to be surrounded with people that are like us, because we want to be able to share our problems and get empathy back. If we share our entrepreneurial problems with a group of guys and everyone else just has a job, they are not going to understand. They might be sharing, oh, I hate my job. I hate showing up for my 8 hours. I want to leave early. I never want to stay late. And you're thinking to yourself, yo, that's what I do. I show up early and I stay late all the time because I'm a fucking entrepreneur and that's what I just do. You don't have anything to resonate with those people. So sometimes it's actually okay to spend less time with people that don't share the same goals of you, and spend as much time as possible with that people that you see eye to eye with. We are the average of the 5 people we hang around the most. And do you want to be like your non-entrepreneur friends, or do you want to be a fucking killer in entrepreneurship? Go find people that are crushing it in entrepreneurship, your industry or not, that doesn't really matter actually. But what I can say is that if you can find a peer group or an entrepreneur group where people are going towards the same goals, that is a game changer. And something that's been a huge game changer for me is mentorship with someone that has done it before. So someone that has done, so when I was at less than $1 million in revenue, I reached out to someone in the lawn care space that was doing $30 million a year. And for over a year, I was his mentee. I just absorbed everything he had to say to me. And I learned in that 1 year decades of experience, and that has really helped fast forward my journey in entrepreneurship. This one can really you up if you get it wrong. It is ignoring legal obligations. If we're in entrepreneurship, guys, we have to have some structure. And our structure, whether we're incorporated or we're self-proprietor, those all need to have some legal obligations. So when someone comes up to your company, what does the contract look like? What does the actual steps and the job outcomes look like for that individual? Because people need to have structure and you need to make sure you're always protecting yourself. Because guess what? Sometimes we mess up. And guess what? Sometimes we go bankrupt. And we want to make sure that there's a strong corporate structure so that if the business dies, you don't die. And what I mean by that is that we don't want our business venture to mess up our family life and take our home away that we have, our mortgage and everything like that. So make sure that we have the right legal obligations in place so that, you know what, no one goes into a relationship thinking, you know what, this is going to fail. But it is important to, while conversations are good on good terms, have that conversation with your business partner to make sure there's a right contract in place between you two so that let's say if things do go sour, at least we have that legal documentation to protect ourselves. There's one caveat on this, and I do need to hit home. Don't be obsessed about this. If you use a big contract that you're working with, make sure you have your ducks in a row, but don't be obsessed with contracts, especially when you're first starting out, because guess what? Nothing says I don't trust you more than, oh, by the way, sign this fucking contract. You, at the start of your business, just want to go make some money. You want to actually start to build relationships and build a team. Focus on relationships and focus on your product or service way more than the contract, because we want to make sure that, yes, we're protecting ourselves, but don't be the stickler. No one likes that guy where everything has to be written and signed for it to be ineffective. Trust a handshake. Trust someone looking in your eyes and says, yes, I'll get the job done, and that will lead you to a lot more success than just a piece of paper. The 19th behavior that can your entrepreneurial journey is having short-term thinking. Guys, the problem with short-term thinking is that it takes the same amount of energy as big thinking. They both require an insane amount of your time and energy. So if you're going to think, you might as well think big. The problem with thinking short-term is that you'll actually make decisions that can hurt the long-term trajectory for your business. So here's an example. In my business right now is that we are a lawn care service provider, but a big thing that came up last year was this bug in town eating up grass in the lawns called a chinch bug. And we actually had very short-term thing with this. We were thinking, oh man, this is a good opportunity. Let's make as much money as possible from this problem. But we didn't realize at the time that this was a temporary thing. So we got the extra trucks, we got the extra equipment, the extra employees, and we made great money in the first year. But what happened this year? They were gone. The chinch bugs went away, but what did I now have? Trucks, employees, and equipment, because I was expecting this thing to continue to be something that we need to deal with. So I was thinking short term, and it killed me in the long run because I had too many trucks, I have too many employees, and I have too much equipment at this moment. So right there, we were given into some short term thinking that really, honestly, it messed up our budget, it messed up our forecast, and now we are paying the price at the expense of our long-term goals, which for us is to build lawn care clients, build up lawn care programs. So it was by focusing on the short term that actually hurt my long term. Don't fall for the temptation. In a business, you cannot be distracted by short term opportunities. Unless something is feeding in and supporting your long term goal, put it aside. It is a distraction. Doesn't matter how good the opportunity is, how fancy and shiny and hot it looks. Let it go, because unless it's helping your long-term goals, you're wasting your time and energy. The 20th behavior is a nasty one, and it is bad communication. We all know that person in our life that just is shitty at communicating, you know? They never reply to their texts, their phone calls, they never answer them at the beginning. And when you're talking to them in person, you never even know what they're actually saying. They're equivocating or not getting to the point, or they're just straight up lying to you. Communication is crucial, especially if you're in entrepreneurship with other people. Your team needs you to communicate effectively, and communication is something that we can learn. These YouTube videos, for example, I've been doing this for a while and I still have such a long way to go when it comes to communicating. But one thing I've learned is that how I communicate a message is actually more important than the message itself. Because so many times we have great products that we don't know how to market to get to people. Think of your communication the same way for the delivery of your ideas. How we communicate is the marketing for our ideas, and we need to learn how to effectively communicate, because it's only through that we can persuade others and get people to buy the dream, be a part of this entrepreneurial journey for you. Because unless your team is all rowing in the same direction and they buy into your vision, they are not going to be helping you. In fact, they're going to be pulling you away from hitting those long-term goals. So being able to communicate effectively is probably the number one skill entrepreneurs need to learn. So don't push it aside, don't brush it off, learn how to communicate effectively today. The 21st point that I need to address, that if you don't get this right will completely your business, is not building the right team. So there's something in life and in business called the right person in the right seat. So this comes from Jim Collins' book, Good to Great. And he talks about how your business is a bus and your bus has specific seats and different rows that go down the aisle. And you need to make sure that one, you have the right seat. So the right seat means a position that you need to fill. So a salesperson can be a seat and someone that's running marketing can be a seat. But not only is it important to have the right seat, you need to have the right person, because we need to make sure that anyone that we put into a seat, their God-given ability is that department. They are a true born salesperson. They are a true born operations manager, because it gets really, really messy very, very fast when we have the wrong person in the right seat. The sales position, it's a true position we need to fill, but we have Sandra in there, and Sandra sucks at sales. She should not be there. So make sure that we have the right person in the right seat. Now, sometimes we actually have the right person in the wrong seat. And we had this one employee once where she was awesome. She was honest, she had integrity, and she was very good at communication, but we had her in the wrong seat. And as a result, she was underperforming. She was not meant for that specific position. But rather than firing her, we asked ourselves, okay, this is clearly the right person. Do we have the right seat at our company? And you have to be brutally honest with yourself at that point, because sometimes you have the right person, but you don't have a seat for them. In this case, we found out that that seat was actually sales for her. We took her, we put her into the sales seat, and without even knowing it, she crushed it because her seat was sales. So make sure you have the right person in the right seat. And if you don't have the right person in the right seat, it is time to do some cutting. It is time to take that person out of your business, because even more than your behavior fucking you up, that person might be fucking up your business as well.